Right, so hello, good morning. Hello,
Morning, sir.
can you guys hear me? Okay, great.
Morning.
Right, so again, there's so many of you if it's the first day of class. So again, I hope we can maintain this count of participants. So 23. So almost all of you are here. Okay. So I think ilan kayo dito? 30 lang yata kayo. 30 or 25. Let me just count 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 16, 4, like almost 35. Great. So there were 10 who are not here, 10 or 11. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure that most of you already know me. And I can also see that most of you, I already know you guys. Yeah, lahat kayo, I think. Yeah, so no one's new. So walang transfer. Anyway, so how are you guys? Are you guys okay? So konting kamustahan bago tayo discuss. So are you guys doing good?
Okay lang naman, sir. Na-enjoy naman yung bakasyon.
Okay. So yeah, by the way, today's vacation is quite long. Yung last vacation natin. Okay. Maybe sa inyo parang mahaba yun, pero parang sa amin, marami kasi kaming ginawa and report early enrollment. So, sakto lang, like 5 days vacation.
Sir, sa amin din kasi ECQ eh.
Ano yan?
Nag-ECQ, sir eh.
Ay, sa inyo. Yun lang. Yun yung ma-enjoy. Anyway, okay na rin yan. Diba? At least, team bahay. So, sino pang iba na gustong mag-share ng kahit ano sa kanila? Kasi for sure, once na nag-start na naman tayo ng discussion, dire-diretso na naman. Like, hindi na naman tayo makakapag-usap. Okay, hindi ko man lang naririnig yung boses ng iba. Okay, let's take this opportunity for us to know each other more. And sa mga, yun, nakakita, syempre, alam niyo na yan, magpa-semi-calvo ako. Wala lang, kasi parang mainit, ganun. Alright. So, I think wala nang hahabol. 23. Alright, so a total of 22 students. Anyway, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so you guys already know the things that you can find here on the Canvas. So for the homepage, this is where you can see the welcoming page, the course delivery, the course overview. Okay, so I will not talk about this anymore since you guys already so I will leave the reading part to you guys. Okay, and then again, if you just in case you forgot my name, so just visit this instructor's profile, and then it will lead you to this page right here. Okay, and then again, I will leave the reading part to you guys. And then for the syllabus, so you can click this one or this one, so it will lead you to the same page. So this is a 3-unit lecture. Okay, so this is electro or electronics devices and circuits. All right. So here are the course learning outcomes, which you can also find on the homepage. And then here's the course content. And then as usual, okay, for the week 1 to week 3, this is the topic for midterms, and then week 4 to week 6. So these are the topics for the finals. Okay, and then here's one free ebook, okay, that I found on the internet. So this is an ebook from I don't know, I forget the website, but from somewhere on the internet. Okay, so this one is the Intro to Electronic Devices and Circuits by Boylston. So this book is super close with the topics right here, okay, that we're going to discuss. And then for the basis of evaluation, so nothing's new. So you guys already know this one. So you have to finish the major requirements, examinations, assignments, quizzes, discussions, like almost everything. Okay, but there's one thing that you must not miss, which is the examination. So even though you're getting high score, let's see, almost perfect in everything, but you've missed your midterm exam, you will still get INC on this subject. Okay, the same with your final exam. Okay, so you can miss one quiz, two quiz, three assignments, five state works, as long as you're getting a high score in examinations and most of your quizzes, of course. Okay. Then, of course, successful completion of all requirement of the course, especially exam, and then the standard grading system at the university shall be used. So again, this is how we compute your grade, but I will not discuss this one anymore. And I think they are super straightforward. Okay, just understand them. Okay, 50% midterm exam, 50% class standing. All right. So again, here you see the passing score or the passing percentage is 60%. Okay, that's equal to 75. So if you're always getting 58%, 59% and below, then I assure you that you will fail this subject. So don't be contented with more than half or at least half. Okay, you must at least aim 60% and above. Okay, in everything. Okay, so are we clear so far regarding with your syllabus? Okay, so again, make it easy. You can speak right away, or you can just thumbs up. Okay, and if you have a question, so you don't need to raise your hand anymore. Okay, so just speak right away, or I guess if it's chat, maybe that's the time that you need to raise your hand. Okay, kasi kapag chat, hindi ko kaagad nababasa. Maliit lang kasi siyang notification na parang 1, 2, ganun sa chat icon. Okay, so I recommend you guys to speak na lang. Okay, I think it would be better and faster. So, yun lang naman. So after syllabus, of course, then let's now move on to the modules. Okay, so I've already taught this one, okay, in online class. So last year, 2020 or 2019, I forget. Kompleto na to. So nandito na lahat hanggang sa final exam nyo. It's just that we have a different format nowadays. So before, ganito lang, simple lang siya for module 2. But we have an additional like practice exercises, this OER, this, oops, remove ko lang to. Bakit naiwan pa to? Module feedback. And then we now have a case study. So before we don't have those kind of things. So I'm still like renovating, okay, yung mga susunod pang modules. Kaya hindi pa sila nakapublish. Okay. Well, anyway, so whatever you can see right now, so that's most likely the current topic that we are going to discuss. All right. So I hope you guys have already checked this one. Hindi pa nga pala. Kasi kaka-publish pa lang kanina. Nakalimutan ko siyang i-publish kagabi. So my bad on that one. But anyway, so while I'm speaking, so you might want to visit some of the things that you can see right here on the modules right now. But anyway, we'll go over with them one by one anyway. Okay. So again, for the module 1 overview for week 1, this is where you can see the topic learning outcomes that you can learn on this module. And then the all of the topics that we are going to discuss on that specific module. Okay. So most likely these are the subtitles or the titles above, and then the information is below them. Excuse me. All right, and then here in the learning resources, we have the lecture presentation, which is of course module 1. And then I have also gave a link, okay, wherein this one is the basic electronics for engineer beginners. And we have what is electronics. So most likely they are an introduction on what is electronics all about. Okay, so those are 3 YouTube links. And then we have here reading materials, which is quite connected, okay, somehow connected with the module 1. So if you need more information, Okay, and then you're the kind of person who loves reading, so you might want to visit this one. Okay. So any questions so far regarding with the overview of the module one?
None, sir.
Sir.
Wala pa naman, sir.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question regarding with the module one, since this one is just the introduction. Most of them are the fundamentals and then the basics only. Well, anyway, after that, of course, this is where you can find the links, or the link for the Zoom meeting, and then this is the PDF itself. Okay, the thing that we are going to discuss later, and then this is where you can find the videos that you can also find it right here, the video materials, and then the recorded Zoom meeting. Okay. And then what else? So I have also prepared here three. So it's already know this one. So pro props and then quizzes. So most likely those two are, are very good when it comes to basics of something. Okay, if it's for a beginner or maybe for intermediate. So this one is good. These two websites right here. Okay. But when it comes to hard questions, maybe you might want to visit other website, okay, other than this props analysis. And then for the quizzes, of course, for assessment, so I have only one, and most likely all of you will get this one. So this is like a bonus already, since this one is super easy. Okay, so you're going to have the proper or official quiz later on, once we have a competition. Okay, because in chapter one or module one, there is no competition on this one. So most likely they are uh, a meaning, okay, or what do you call this one? Parang mga ideas, para mga ganun lang, okay? Kasi kapag nagpa-quiz ako ng mga ganun, pwede nyo i-search lang sa internet and then parang wala lang, okay, nandun na. Pwede nyo, makukuha nyo na kagad yung sagot. Kaya parang ano lang to, bonus na lang sa inyo. Okay, so this is just 25 points. The one that you guys need to work on is the case study number one. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is, the points of this one is higher than the quiz, okay, short quiz. So this is 80 points. So make sure to answer this one thoroughly, okay, and then completely. So, ito lang yung pinaka-main requirements ko, kasi meron yung iba, hindi ko lang paano nangyari yun. Kasi kapag mga case studies, kahit ano naman yung sagot mo, basta ma-justify mo yung sagot. Okay? Wala namang mali or tama kasi nga opinion mo yun eh. Okay? Ang sa akin lang, kailangan kapag may mga tanong akong 2 or 3, dapat sagutan nyo yun lahat. Kung 3 yung tanong, 3 din dapat yung sagot. Kasi yung iba, 1 lang, 2, ang iksi-iksi na nga, tapos wala pang masyadong explanation, hindi pa ako nakumbinse na kung bakit yun yung sagot niya, tapos kulang pa. So, most likely, yung 50 points mo magiging 20 out of 50, 25, 15. So, depende kung paano nyo sagutan mismo yung mga tanong. Okay? So, yeah, that's most likely it for the overview of the week 1, or the module 1. So, any concerns so far before we start with our official discussion? Oh, hi, Mr. Falabewa.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay, so I have to speak pure English now, since we have Mr. Falabewa. Okay, so for his sake, so I will not do Taglish anymore. Well, it's quite hard, but we can do that. Okay, so we will do that. All right, so any question again before we start with our discussion? question or clarification? Wow, we've now reached 20. So before we were only 23, so there's an additional 5. So is there a new name? Systematic. Okay, seems that most of you are already old UC students or CPE students. Okay, so no one's new. Anyway, so no question. So if there is no more question, then let's start now. Okay, so this is a 46 slides. So yeah, even though it's 46 slides, we can finish this one in maybe 2 meetings only. Okay, part 1 and part 2. All right, so electro or intro to electro. So the first question is, what is electronics? So to make it simple and short, it's the study of how to control the flow of electrons. Okay, or electricity to make this electron much more simple. Okay, it's the study of how to control the electricity. Okay, or the flow of current or the voltage. So last sem, okay, or last sem, when I taught the electrical circuits, so I taught you guys how to solve the voltage on the spot, the total current, the total resistance, the current on the spot, etc., etc. Okay, but in this subject, I will teach you guys how to control the flow of current. Okay, so in before we are only dealing with DC. Okay, it's the direct current only, but in here it's now more an AC. Okay, the alternating current. So we now have the positive and then negative uh, values for your voltage and then currents. Anyway, so when the electronics deals with circuits with made up of components that control the flow of electricity, such as vacuum tubes. So one of the earliest components. Okay, so I hope you guys have already heard this one. So those have televisions way back 1990s, okay, or early 2000s. So yeah, we have this square TV. Because nowadays we have only flat and thin TVs, but before we have square. Okay, the one that is quite big. So they're using this technology, vacuum tubes. All right. So yeah, but nowadays we're still using vacuum tubes, but in special devices only. Okay, so transistors has also the capability to control the flow of electricity. Diodes, especially this one, because this is the main component that we are going to use all throughout this course. Okay, and then some integrated circuits. We also have optoelectronics, and then some sensors, and then some passive electrical components, and then interconnection technologies. Okay, so by the way, these are the vacuum tubes. So we have different kind of vacuum tubes, but all of them are vacuum tubes. Okay, so the same with this one. We have different kinds of transistors, but most likely, we just call them transistors. Okay, and then here we have diodes right here. So as you guys can see, we have LED. So this is also a diode from its name itself. So light emitting diode. Okay, it's just that this one, the one that doesn't have a bulb. Okay, this one doesn't lit up. Okay, but this one, the LED, does lit up. Excuse me. Hindi na pa ako nauubo. Excuse me for that. Let me just take a water for a while. Yata yung, I think this is from the light brain. Kasi nambunan ako hapon. So I think that's because of that. So anyway, so let's move on to the next one. We have ICs right here, and then optoelectronics, and then some sensors. Okay, so that's it for the definition of the electronics. So here are some of the electronic components. So an electronic components is any physical entity. Yeah. Any physical entity in electronic system used to affect the electrons or their associated fields. Okay, so in here, okay, you can combine those like diode plus resistor plus LED plus IC. Okay, so you can combine as many as you want to come up with your preferred circuit or preferred way of controlling your PCB, okay, or the electricity on that PCB. Okay, so that is already like IC or electronic components. Okay, And then components are generally intended to be connected together, of course. Okay, so what is the use of the transistor or that diode? Okay, if you're not going to connect them with the other components. So most likely by combining them, you will come up with, with amplifier. Like you can amplify this sound from low volume into high volume. Okay, you can also come up with a radio receiver or an oscillator. Okay, then components may be packaged singly. Okay, so when I say singly, this is just the one IC. Okay, though we call this one singly or single or one only, but it packs a lot of components inside of it. Like one IC, like it has 20, 30, or 40 components inside of it. Okay, so what are those components? So it could be diodes, could be transistor, resistor, capacitor, inductor, okay, and many more, of course. Okay, and then or in more complex groups, like adding them one by one or combining them one by one, like capacitor plus inductor, etc., etc. Okay, and then components are often categorized as active. Okay, so those active are transistors and then thyristors, and then the passive ones are the one that we have before in the electrical circuits, which is the resistors. But diodes, we don't have this one before, but this is also part of the passive components. And then we have inductors and then capacitors. Okay, so any questions so far regarding with the electronic components? Question?
None, sir.
Wala po.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so no answer. All right, so let's just talk. One of the earliest components or electronic components that we use or our grandfathers used before. Well, naabulan ko rin to kaya sabihin ko ng nagamit din namin. Okay. Sorry. So, tatagi siya naman ako. Sorry for that, Mr. Palawewa. I've also used this one, okay? Or most likely, I've also able to see what is the vacuum tubes look like in real life, okay? Because during 1990s, so the time that when I was born, so we have this fat TV where it's using a vacuum tube. Anyway, so vacuum tubes, or sometimes we call this one thermionic valves, so were among of the earliest electronic components. So it were almost solely responsible for the electronics revolution of the first half of the 20th century. Okay, and then allowed for vastly more complicated systems and gave us radio, television, phonographs, reader, long distance telephony, and much more. Okay, so most of them, you're still using them, but the technology has already changed, especially in television. So we don't use vacuum tubes nowadays. Okay, so this one played a leading role in the field of microwave and high power transmission as well as television receivers until the middle of 1980s. Okay, so this time, it's like starting now to fall down because there is this newer technology. Okay, so like the early 20s, so we now have like flat TVs, okay, way back before. So parang it's now falling. Okay, and then since the time, solid state semiconductor devices or devices have all but completely taken over. Okay, so vacuum tubes are still used in some specialist applications such as high power RF amplifiers, cathode ray tubes, specialist audio equipment, and then heater amplifiers and some microwave devices. Okay, so they're still being used up to today, but in some special application. Okay. And the next one is electricity. So before we proceed with what is electricity, let's talk about atom first. Okay, so atom is a Greek word which means indivisible. So I'm pretty sure that most of you already know what is an atom. It's like the smallest matter on Earth or in the entire universe that the human ever find on history. So the Greeks believed that matter can be broken down into very invisible particles called atoms. Okay, so who are those Greek philosophers? So such as Democritus and then John Dalton, put forward the concept of the atom. So they're saying that the atom can be divided into two parts. Okay, so we have two parts. We have the atomic nucleus and then the extranucleus part. So for the atomic nucleus, there's one. So instead of it, we have another two components. We have the proton and then the neutron. And then the extranucleus part are the electrons that is orbiting or surrounding this nucleus right here. So I have a question. So it says here that atom is a Greek word which means indivisible. Okay, like we cannot divide it anymore. Okay, but how come that we can still dissect it and then still find more smaller components, like smaller than atom itself, like proton, neutron, and electron. Okay, so anyone was an idea regarding with this one? Yes, sounds ironic, right? Since it's indivisible, it should be the smallest matter on Earth, but how come that we can still divide it in many parts? Anyone was
Sir,
an
maybe, sir, maybe the time they called it atom, they don't know about the nucleus part and the external nucleus part of the atom yet. So, they didn't have the chance to update the name, parang ganun.
they
Siguro,
didn't they didn't
maybe.
ano
They didn't update the name, sir. They just used
uh,
atom pa rin.
I don't think so because it's still remains the meaning of atom in Greek word is still indivisible. They didn't update it one. They didn't claim that this one is incorrect. And it's science, even in science, up to now, we still call that it's the smallest matter. But how come we have, you know, more parts inside of that atom? I've been teaching this subject for this is actually the third time already. So yeah, I know that the atom is the smallest particle, right? Because it was taught to us in elementary, high school. But just lately I've realized that yeah, but how come that we can still divide it into two parts or even four parts? Like we have nucleus. I mean, yeah, three parts actually only: the proton, neutron, and electron. Anyone? Any other ideas regarding with this?
I think it's just that the proton, neutron, and electron are what makes up an atom.
Atom is the word.
I said proton, neutron, and electron are what makes up an atom, even though it's still indivisible. They come together to make up an atom.
I see. So you cannot come up with an atom if you don't have a proton or electron. So it's the composition. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Since that's what we have in here. Yeah, we cannot see that this is an atom if we're missing one part of this one, like neutron or proton or any one of those part. Well, anyway, so I think this is the perfect definition also why they can still divide it. Like we can see atom, right? So using maybe a microscope or any other technology right uh, out there. But it says here that we can still break it down, okay, into a very small invisible particles. Like they are assuming that yeah, they cannot see that one, but they've assumed that it's a proton or a neutron or an electron. Okay. So yeah, I think they just assume it. Anyway, so I think this is already the answer. It's invisible. Okay, so this is the smallest, but once you divide it, you cannot see the smaller particles of this one anymore. Well, anyway, so enough with the atom. So the state note is one. So when say conductors, this one has a range of 1 to 3 electrons, and then semiconductors has exactly 4 electrons. Okay, and then for insulators, we have 5 to 6 electrons. So in other words, the smaller the electrons, the more conductive it is. Okay, and then the more electrons that we have, the more that it's like resisting, okay, or stopping the flow of current. Okay. And then for semiconductors, so we could say that semiconductors are between conductors and insulators, right? So 50% conducting, and then 50% it's not allowing the flow of electrons. So just do take note that when we say semiconductors, it only has exact 4 electrons. Okay. So this one is strictly 1 to 3, and then this one is 5 to 6. All right. And then for electricity, so I have already taught this one in electrical circuits. So we have 2 types of electricity. We have the AC or the alternating current, and then DC is the direct current. So AC is the sine wave, which we have the positive and negative current. But for the direct current, we only have positive current, which is the upper side only. Okay. So a circuit is a complete and closed path through which electric current can flow. So this is most likely the definition of circuit before. So yeah, we could see that it's a circuit if there is a flow of current. Okay, if it's only a closed path. But if it's an open path, even though it's composed of many wires and then components, we cannot say that it's a circuit if it's an open circuit. Okay. So here are the basic components. So for the first one, so I'll make it short since you guys already know this one. So a resistor, this one reduces the flow of electrical current. Okay, so as simple as that. And then for the capacitors, so the shortest definition is one. This is like a battery. Okay, so this one stores electricity and then discharges it into the circuit itself. But the only difference of this one, the capacitor from the battery can store energy for real. Like even though you've removed that one into the circuit, it still stores an energy inside of it. The capacitor only works as a battery for a short time, like for 2 seconds, 3 seconds only. Okay, so this one only works when we have this one on our circuit. Okay, this doesn't really store an energy. Okay, because once you remove this one on the circuit, the energy inside of it is also gone already. Okay, so we have 2 types of capacitor. We have the non-polarized and then the polarized capacitor. So we call this one ceramic disc, and then this one is the electrolytic capacitor. So this is the non-polarized, and then this is the polarized. So I think it's very obvious. The shorter one and then the longer one means you have to connect this one on the specific sources. And then for this one, it could be any source. Okay. Well, anyway, since we don't have enough time anymore, so we'll just continue the rest on the part. So goodbye for now, and then see you guys later.